architecture. One of the problems you do have is, regardless of the amount of initial take-up, your hardware installation at the start probably doesn't differ that much from, say, 2 dozen potential subscribers to over 100. Murphy's Law dictates that even if you've got 30 household take-up, they're all going to be geographically disparate positions, which means you're not going to be able to reduce the amount of your base stations. So, how do we reduce our costs? We already talked about increasing the number of paying customers. Another option is to look at more favourable rental agreements. The initial design works on the premise that you would self-install a monopole in the village, but it's important you look for maybe more favourable deployment scenarios, such as utilising existing buildings, schools, churches, community hospitals. Anything with a little bit of height is going to give you a good starting point. Also, can you involve like-minded communities in the vicinity? Obviously, if I'm living in a small village in Cumbria, my initial concern is, how do I bring next generation access to my village? I'm sure there's villages in the surrounding area going through the exact same questions as yourselves. You interface with these villages, generate demand, generate a cohesive approach, and maybe then you can share costs between 3 or 4 communities rather than just the one you initially thought of. Another way of reducing costs is to eliminate the expensive rental costs on the BT towers. Again, one thing we have done with our previous community broadband companies we've worked with is they have established favourable land positions in the local area, usually farm owners that they have a personal relationship with. They've approached them and said, we are looking to bring next generation access into the local village. We've identified your farm as an area that could help us with our line of sight and bring in the point of provision. If you allow us to install a tower on your land, we'll give you free internet access, reduced internet access. Even if you had to get together some kind of rental agreement, chances are it's going to be a little bit cheaper than what BT or any of the communication tower owners would charge. That also gives you a second way of reducing your costs, which is actually by generating a little bit of income. Once you've installed this microwave backbone, as we've already spoken about with regards to Sycamore, they've got 100 meg provision into Alston, but capacity on the network is close to 400 megabits. You could look at interfacing with local councils, LEAs, NHS trusts. Do they need any extra bandwidth brought into the village for Medi-Health, mobile workers, that kind of thing? Share the bandwidth, share the costs. Another way, again, of reducing costs, and it's something we have experience with as well, is once you've built that tower, it's probably highly likely that local councils, even MNOs, utilities companies will approach you with the view to using your tower to mount their own equipment. Again, we've already gone through that process with Alston, and again, rather than you paying rental agreement to the likes of BT and the... no, finished that then as well. Yeah. All the way down to the proposed 5 GHz. So again, that's something to bear in mind as a view to recovering some of the initial outlay. I do have another set of figures. Can I just cycle through?
It's that one.
Which one? This one, sorry. Yeah. So much better than I thought. Okay, so there was the initial cost we talked about. Again, this is using 4G technology, which just tends to be a little bit more expensive than traditional 5 GHz. Your access network, that is your base stations, where everybody's going to connect back to. Wireless Ethernet and your microwave costs are the backbones to bring your point of presence in. Deployment costs, there we worked on an estimated take-up of 50%, so around £475 cost per household for take-ups. Again, that doesn't involve the cost of the CPU equipment and the installation costs. We spoke about how to reduce the costs. There on the bullet points, sign up more customers, utilise different buildings to reduce your rental space, and replace the expensive BT masts with Master Zero. Obviously, this is a broad brush approach. They're not exact figures, but they've got a good level of accuracy to them. You'll notice the access network has now reduced by 18,000. This is predominantly by eliminating the purchase of the monopole, installation costs, running power and data to it. And obviously, your OPEX is reduced a little bit as well. You'll also notice a value in the microlink under annual OPEX for the income. Again, we've spoken about this. This can be generated by sharing of bandwidth and rental agreements for your towers for other companies. So that was the what we call 4G networks. Now, I tried to come up with a buzzword that would encapsulate 5 gigahertz technology, and unfortunately, tried Wi-Fi, which isn't really Wi-Fi, so 5 gigahertz was the best. Come on, let's see that. The actual architecture of the deployment doesn't differ that greatly from 4G. You're still creating a base station at the centre of your village. You're still using sectors to give you 360-degree coverage. What you will know is what you will notice later on is the cost of the equipment actually is reduced as opposed to the 4G. The throughput's still pretty good. Again, depending on vendors, and this is another thing you need to factor. There is different manufacturers producing different equipment that all says it can do the same thing. You'll also find a lot of manufacturers ranging in prices from hundreds of pounds to thousands of pounds. Wireless equipment is very much like anything else. You do get what you pay for. So the equipment you use is going to be predicated on what you need to achieve and the budgets you've got. Again, this is something that companies like ourselves can help you with. Again, you give us an idea of what it is that you want to achieve, the areas that you need to connect, budget costs that you've got. You know, do you have a figure in mind for how much you want to cost it per household, and we'll fit the equipment to meet your needs. Cost of 5 gigahertz. Access network is slightly reduced to the 4G. You're only looking at just shy of 30,000. Again, the vast majority of that, as we factored in before, 18,000 is for the installation of the monopole and cost there. So the actual equipment costs are greatly reduced. Wireless Ethernet and the microlinks cost are the same. The cost per household does come down to 396, but you will notice the customer equipment, you only have one product available to you, which is the externally mounted CPU. You don't have the internal modems, and you don't have the USB and Wi-Fi devices. So consequently, you don't have the ability for roaming and mobility that you do have with the 4G network. Using costs, same factors we spoke about before. Again, this is taking down the cost of the access network. Wireless Ethernet and the microwave remain the same, income levels are the same, but obviously the household cost has come down to 273, increased demand by 18% as well.
Does that include the CPU?
No, it doesn't include the CPU. CPU cost there, £435. But again, to make it more comparative, I have gone for what you could argue is the flagship 5 GHz product. There are other manufacturers out there whose products are considerably less than that. Some CPUs coming in at around £80 a residence, which makes it a far more viable option. Again, sorry, just to tie up, things to think about. Engage with the communities. We've already spoke about it's share the costs and share experiences. There's the guys at Alston, Sidemore, there's plenty of other rural broadband communities that have gone through the same stage that you have. So engage with them, they'll help you find out pitfalls at the point. Plan for fixed and wireless broadband, this is all about your vision for the future. What do you envisage your network providing? Do you see it provide anything more than internet access in the future? If not, then that will determine what it is that you are looking for. Questions?
Can we actually, we'll take questions at the end, because I know Chris wants to do her presentation, and we'll have a few minutes then to do that.
Well, if you did questions, you could get to her.
Good idea, yeah. I'll accept that recommendation, Chris. Just if everyone can give Dominic a big round of applause. told me this morning this was the first time he'd done a presentation, and apologies to the problems with the.
You didn't get that.
Yeah. So if you want to take it.
I think there was a gentleman at the back there. Had his arm straight up.
The need for a poll, is this something we can use? Quite a lot of parishes have old television masts, which since we were digital on telly are now redundant. What the television mast do as a poll?
The equipment itself weighs very little, so you don't have to worry about wind load or weight pulling buildings down. Basically, any architecture you can install the equipment on, which will give you the best line of sight to the areas you want to cover. You can use church spires, existing street lamp lighting, plant rooms on top of screens. Anywhere where you can mount equipment and run power and data to can be utilised.
So it could be our old television.
It is. I mean,
Parish television.
absolutely. And again, when it comes to residential properties, I've known people actually driving wooden stakes in the ground, cable under, and serve their premises that way. So it's best to just think of it as to adapt to your needs and use what it is that you've got.
With all the distractions going on, I didn't pick up roaming.
Roaming.
A little bit.
The ability, 4G, one of the big buzzwords with 4G networks is the ability to roam. The premise behind it is that communities around